Hello and welcome back to my channel everyone. My name is Hassan, but I also go by the name Awesomology. Welcome back to another episode of Rants and Reviews, where every week I'll be reviewing a new episode of American Horror Story 1984. This episode was full of action from start to finish. Before I start the rant, if you are an American Horror Story superfan and enjoy after show reviews, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button to stay tuned for weekly episode of Rants and Reviews. Okay, so where do I get started? It is only the third episode and we're already seeing a lot of progression story-wise. I have to say that this episode focused on mainly two highlights, which are more character backstories and plot twists. Lots and lots and lots of plot twists. Okay, so the two main focus characters of this episode have to be Ray and Rita. I think it was really interesting to dig deep into both of their backgrounds equally and find out their potential impact on the season. Something that I really like about American Horror Story is that if they're gonna give you a background story, then that means that they are gonna get you invested into the background story. So let's start with Nurse Rita, or should I say Donna Chambers. Yep, the mysterious Nurse Rita, played by Angelica Ross, is actually an undercover psychologist who stole the identity of the actual Nurse Rita, with the intentions of helping Mr. Jingles escape in order to study him in his natural habitat. Donna has a strong belief that no one is necessarily born evil, and she admits that everyone has the mental capacity to do good stuff or bad stuff. Fair enough, I guess, but having the urge to murder someone requires an external circumstance, which really tells us that she believes that there is something beyond what people are saying about Mr. Jingles. She sees something in him that people don't really understand. I mean, to be fair, she is a psychologist, so it's kind of her job to dig deep into criminals' backgrounds and their intentions and the reasons behind why they do what they do. On the other hand, we also find out that there is an actual Nurse Rita that was supposed to be the nurse at the camp. However, Donna Chambers, the fake Nurse Rita, follows her, ties her up, hides her in one of the cabins at the camp, where she's later discovered by the counselors after being chased and attacked by Mr. Jingles and the Night Stalker. She desperately tried to break loose as soon as they untied her, and unfortunately enough, she was immediately caught by Mr. Jingles, who impaled her through her head with a splintered paddle. Another interesting twist this episode is the backstory of Ray. After falling into a punji pit, which is basically a pit of spikes, Chet gets severely injured as a spike pierces through his chest and Ray remains helpless. Due to him losing his mind, he slowly starts talking about some of the truths behind why he came to Camp Redwood to begin with, and those are much darker than you think. Since Ray is one of the least significant characters, it was totally unexpected to learn about his vicious past, which taught him the habit of running away from his fears rather than standing up and owning up to them. From the first time that he suggested that everyone should go on their own and run for their lives when they were all equally getting attacked, to leaving Chet behind to die after exposing himself and talking about his vicious truth. This all builds up to a lot of hatred towards the character, because after the final time that he tried to escape by stealing the motor and leaving Montana behind, he finally gets slashed by Mr. Jingles. Batter up! Speaking of Mr. Jingles, we also find out that a bunch of teenagers traditionally dress up every year as Mr. Jingles and attempt to scare people around by wearing Mr. Jingles' mask and throwing crap on people. He commonly murders a few of them and collects their ears per usual. However, there is one certain moment where he witnessed an unfortunate guy that couldn't see without his glasses on and that felt empowered being Jingles. And Jingles decided to not murder him. He just decided to let him go because maybe he kind of reminds him of himself, or maybe he sees himself in him, which only tells us that Jingles doesn't murder people unreasonably. I mean, he kind of does, but the fact that he didn't murder this person kind of says something. This episode has been extremely fun to watch, and I can't wait to see how this escalates. I can't wait to see how Montana was in on this and how she teamed up with the Night Stalker, and how Margaret is going to react, and whatever happened to Brooke, and also Chef Birdie. Please, we need more Chef Birdie. If you enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up and share this with your American Horror Story friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next week with another episode recap of American Horror Story 1984.